Hello everyone. Today we're going to be taking a look at Squadron Strike in an actual little demonstration game. We're going to be using stuff that comes directly out of the Squadron Strike Traveler universe and actually one of the little starter scenarios. So let's kind of take a look at what we have here. We have the PF Sloan, which is an Imperial vessel, probably frigate size, nothing too crazy here. It's got a whole lot of stuff going on inside of it, as you can see, good amount of structural integrity, some very interesting firing arcs. It also contains quite a few action points that we can utilize here. As an FTL drive, it has fuel for FTL. It also has two simple weapon platforms, which I think is wonderful. We have small missiles, which of course are nuclear, and we also have a turret laser, which is fairly usable. As far as arcs go, you can see that one of our turret lasers is kind of off to the right, the other one's kind of off to the left. Ignore this stuff, by the way. This is just if we had a copy of that ship. Our missile on the flip side can be fired in every direction, which is absolutely awesome, but there is a ammunition limit of 6. Also on the ship, you can see we have this thing called a sandcaster, which basically provides us with a little bit of shield points that we can use for basically one turn until the sand, of course, disperses. Flipping over on this side, we have the Zhodani particular craft. Little different philosophy as far as design goes. Basically, we have a very powerful weapon off the nose, which is going to be a little bit difficult to employ, as you'll see during the game. And of course, we have our conventional turret lasers as well. And then we also have nuclear missiles, because why not? So in this particular case, you can see that we have 1, 2, 3, 4 individual missile batteries that we can employ. There's no action point cost for this particular weapon to employ those. So it's absolutely like almost not fair of a weapon if we really wanted to spam missiles, which I highly recommend we do when we get the opportunity. The catch here is it's a range 13, so we definitely need to time that well as far as the actual attack goes. So anyway, we're going to go ahead and begin from the beginning. I just want to, yeah, it makes perfect sense, right? No, so we're going to start by doing all the standard stuff as far as rotation, as far as angles, and all those other kinds of things. All right, 2 bridge points. I just want to mentally confirm that real quickly. So normally we come up here and we scratch all these guys out. We have a starting speed here of 4. We're using mode 2 movement today. Let's come down to the PF Sloan. What do we have as far as, we also have 2 action points, which is not a lot, but we can work with that. Okay, let's begin. So the first thing we would do is we plot any sort of rolls or pivots. Now let's come up with a slight philosophy here. So this particular craft does most of its damage out the nose, as pretty much like the other craft it is. So as this thing is skidding along, it's going to want to sort of rotate itself kind of this way as it goes by. So if you want to imagine when he gets to this point here, his opponent is going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 points away. We're not going to be doing too much 3D work here unless we have to. So that's going to be possible for, let's see, do we have any weapons that can do 11? Pretty much all of our weapons can do 11, so it's probably not a bad idea to go ahead and rotate the nose to be able to take a shot at that earlier. Keep in mind, this is the end of turn marker for the current vectors. That can change, and we'll go ahead and flip over to the Zhodani for a second here. By the way, we're going to assume a crew rate of 6 up for both crews. That's going to be very critical as far as doing damage control and stuff like that goes a little later on. Meanwhile, in Zhodani land, we have an extremely powerful weapon in the nose that we can definitely employ. So our initial philosophy is probably going to be the exact same as the Imperials. We're going to want to rotate to put that weapon pretty much straight off the nose when we come swinging around this way. We're also, of course, want to employ all of our defenses because we know what he's going to do when he takes that initial shot. Speaking of which, the Zhodani have kind of a unique couple weapons here. Their Bay Energy, for example, it's a splash weapon, which that can do an enormous amount of damage, assuming you can get through our defenses. And coming over here, like I said, we've got all those things. We don't have any Meson weapons, but we do have nuclear dampers, and you'll see what happens when we employ those a little later on. So anyway, let's go ahead and get rolling here. So we want to go ahead and figure out where we want to put our damage control parties. This is important. We have 2 of them here. I just want to check to see if we have any others spread out. Nope, we have 2. So for me, I know that we're probably going to be taking damage to the nose, but there is no nose as far as hits goes. But we do want to put our damage control parties in places where we can do the most amount of damage the quickest. So in this particular case, I'm going to put one of my damage control parties in our pivot thrusters. We're going to need that. And I'm going to put the other damage control over here in our bridge ring. Meanwhile, the Zhodani on this side is going, this is still the plotting phase, by the way, is going to go ahead. Let's see how many damage control parties we have. I think we have 2 also. We have 2 damage control parties. He's going to be pretty clever here. He is going to make sure he puts one in his Meson screen, just in case actually, we're not going to have an issue with Meson. What am I even doing? Go ahead and get rid of that. We're going to go ahead and place, let's see here, one here on the bridge track, makes a lot of sense. And we're also going to be putting one in our pivot track as well, in case we need to rotate in a hurry. It's kind of the middle of the ship, it's another way to think about it. So now we're going to go ahead and do our usual plotting. So we're going to be interested in roll and pivot. So we know that we need to roll the nose 1, 2 in this direction to basically face us this way. That's going to be our predicted. We're not going to do any thrust or anything this particular turn. Flipping over on this side, he's smart enough to do the exact same thing, so he's going to rotate himself 2 over in this direction. So let's keep working our way down here. We've done the pivoting, no pivot, we're not doing any thrust, we're not doing any vertical moves. We're going to, no vector changes, we didn't use thrust. Now we adjust end of turn marker for displacement or thrust. So if you want to think about it, if we don't apply any thrust at all, we're going to be locating 4 marks away, 1, 2, 3, 4 right here. Since we didn't thrust, that doesn't change. So now we go to the movement phase. Move to end of turn marker, complete pivots and rolls. Okay. So this is our end of turn marker. We're going to go over here like this. We've moved to it. He's also going to come like this, move to here like that. Okay, that was pretty straightforward. So next what we want to do is record the new avid orientation. I'm going to do this fairly briefly. I'm not going to get too crazy. So that means we're now facing this way. If we swing over to this guy as well, whoop, I didn't mean to erase his name. That doesn't change. And we're going to be facing this way, like this. So now we're basically opposite each other. So our next step here, we recorded the new orientation. Bleeding speeds, not issue. We have nothing to consolidate. Place end of turn marker for current vectors. So that's going to be 4 away for us. 1, 2, 3, 4. We're basically skidding sideways here. And it is also going to be 1, 2, 3, 4 for him. This is kind of an interesting situation. So now we enter into the combat phase. So now we have to debate what we're going to do. So I know my current distance is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 distance away. Taking a look at my weapons real quickly. 10 distance is a 4 or better. It's not going to do much damage unless it gets through. My missile on the flip side, that's going to be a tough shot. Because when we take that shot, we're basically shooting here. So it's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 away. That's a doable shot. So, yeah, let's go for it. We'll loosen up his nose a little bit with our laser cannon, and then we're going to go ahead and use a missile to try to finish the job. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 away. He's going to be in our nose arc. Straight ahead, makes things nice and easy. That also means in this side of things, it is also in our nose arc. That's going to be 10 away. So his weapons are a little different. So he's got the missiles as well. He's got the turret laser, and he's of course got the energy beam, which you know he's going to want to use. So let's go ahead and resolve what we're going to do now. So we're going to allocate action points for defenses and weapons fire. So I know he's got a very, very powerful cannon in his nose. If he doesn't use it this turn, I'd almost be surprised. So what I want to do is I want to go ahead and activate my sandcasters. So this is the nose sandcaster ammunition. There's no action point cost. Each one of these boxes is 4 blasts. One blast gets you 6 of these little bubbles of temporary protection. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and let's see how many we can have maximum. 1, 2, 3. We're going to go ahead and use all 3. So 1, 2, 3. Which means our defenses are now going to include this entire chunk of sand. I'm also going to spend 1 of my action points to add 2 more dots of sand. I guess I'm thickening the sand, if that makes any sense. That's a lot. That leaves me with 1 free action point, which I have nothing to use with. Maybe we'll need it for damage control. Well, we can't use it. Meanwhile, over on this side, he knows the fact I can't really put that much damage into him at one point. But he's not dumb either, so he's going to go ahead and activate 2 blasts of sandcaster ammunition, which is basically going to reinforce the nose. He's also going to spend a single action point. Do we want to? Yeah. We're going to spend a single action point to go ahead and add 2 extra protection to his nose as well. So now what we do is we've declared what we're using our action points for. We'd roll for ECCM. We have no ECCM, but we do have ECM, which we're going to go ahead and activate this turn at a cost of our extra point. What is ECM? ECM is electronic countermeasures. It's going to add 1 to his attack rolls against us, so we have to kind of keep that in the back of our head. Meanwhile, in the Zhodani ship, he's not that concerned about getting hit until the nuclear missiles get in range anyway, so it's like, I'm not even going to bother with the ECM. Doesn't actually have ECM, so that's a non-issue. So this is pretty good for us. Okay, so now we want to go ahead and do the usual mapping. We know it's off the nose, so in this particular case, This is going to be an arc. This is going to be an arc. This is going to be an arc. And this is going to be an arc. Flipping over to the Zhodani ship, it's going to be the exact same situation. The big gun's an arc. His little one is an arc. His other little one's an arc. And of course, his missiles are always an arc. So let's go ahead and say we have no quick firing weapons, so we skip the defensive fire phase. We do have standard fire, and I'm not going to hold anything in reserve. I'm going to hit it with a full-on alpha strike. So let's go ahead and just start from the top. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 turret lasers that are in arc. We're going to do all 6 of them. So the hit roll is going to be pretty straightforward. We have his range, which is 10. So that means our normal attack is going to be a 4 or greater. His profile to the nose, I believe, is 1. Yes. So we're going to add 1 to our normal attack roll here. So in this particular case, it becomes a 5 up, and I get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 attacks at a 5 up, which actually isn't too bad, and they're all going to be hitting in the same spot. So let's go ahead and see what happens here. So our first attack is a complete failure. I'm actually going to grab this one real quickly, just keep track. So first attack, complete failure. Second attack, so I'll just confirm that. It's going to be a 5 up. Second attack is a success, hitting location 0 with 3. Let's see here. At this distance, it's 1 damage. It's going to be penetration 2, so 3 damage total on the nose. So 3 damage on the nose is not going to be much of anything. It's basically going to knock a couple pieces of sand out of the way, and that's about it. So we have a couple more attacks to go. It's not over yet. Please don't jump off the table. 3. That's another miss. So we have 1 more. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we have 3 more. Go ahead and rotate this to a 4. So that's another hit. That's going to be 0. Location 2, of course, the default weapon at that distance is 1. So we're just going to knock another piece of sand out of the way. This is not going to go well for the Imperials, I can tell you that. So now we'll go on to our 5th attack. Let's see here. That is definitely a hit. That's location 8. It's a total of 5, but it gets reduced to 2. So 3 damage to location 8. That's just going to do more damage to the sand up front. And then I've got my last normal attack as well. Well out of effective range here. That's a hit as well. That's going to do 1 extra damage for the penetration. So we're going to do 2 damage to location 4. Or 0, it doesn't make a difference. 2 more damage is just going to knock a couple pieces of sand out of the way. So, no. The defenses on that particular ship absorbed everything. We do have a missile launch, however, because we're going to launch our small missiles. We're actually going to launch a pair of them. So I'm going to grab these. We're going to go to the halfway point. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Ha-ha! Deal with that. Actually, I'll just be smart here. 2X missiles, S missiles. Okay, so he's, of course, fired our little missile system. We'll have to deal with that a little later on. So he did not specifically reserve anything for defensive fire. But we have a lot of nose left, so I'm not too concerned. This guy's turn now. So, as usual, we're going to be firing the big, scary weapon first, because that's usually pretty good. Our big, scary weapon is an energy bay with splash damage. It can do absolutely nothing at this distance. So maybe we want to hold off on that until we've fired our other weapons first. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4 turret lasers that we can use here. They're going to be a 4 up, which goes to a 5 up, which goes to a 6 up. Because of the fact we're using ECM this turn. So we need to get a 6 or better, and we get 4 attacks. So we'll just keep track of that over here. So the first one is a success. It does probably squat. So there's no penetration whatsoever. It does a single point of damage. Aw, it's such a cute little bit of damage. So that gets rid of one of my thickened shield bubbles here. We'll go ahead and do it again. This is my second attack. No good. We need a 6 or better. Do my third attack. Good. That's a hit. So penetration is going to be pretty high. It's going to be, I think it's going to be a total of 4 damage. So let's take a look here. At that distance, it's going to be 2 damage, 3 damage total to the nose. It's going to knock off another piece of sand. And it's going to do 1 damage. Remember, I did quite a bit because I knew that he was going to hit us with the good stuff. He gets 1 more attack with his turret lasers. And that's a 7, so that's a hit. So let's see here. It's going to be 1, 2 damage to location 1. Just going to get chewed up in the sand. And he is completely out of the good stuff. So now it's time to attack with that Meson Bay. Let me go confirm whether or not it has a cooldown. It does not. So that's going to be a heck of a shot. So we have a 5 up, which goes to a 6 up. And it does a lot of damage if it connects. I have the feeling it's not actually going to succeed. Let's find out what happens. Does not connect. So in that case, the shot just goes wild, and which is unfortunate because that could have done quite a bit of damage. The key thing with Traveler is basically until they're out of sand, like the battle doesn't get very interesting. So anyway, we'll go ahead and move on here. So now we have a bunch of missiles. We have 1, 2, 3, 4 missiles which you can fire. Oh, by the way, when you fire missiles, make sure you keep track of how many that you have left. We can actually reload these missiles, but it's a bit of a process. We should have made a note of that over here as well. We have 5 of those. Okay, cool. So he, of course, is going to fire a missile as well, which means his missile is going to be going the opposite direction over that way. We can commit, I think, 2 missiles in this, no, 4 nuclear missiles. So that's going to be a little bit scarier for our poor Terrans over here. So we're going to go ahead and put that right here. Imperials, I should say. 4x missiles. It's missiles. Okay. The Terran vessel, I should say the Imperial vessel, chose not to put anything in reserve steps, so we don't get that freebie shot on those. And we just continue moving right along. So moving right along here, let's see here. We've done all of our fire. There's none of that. We have no cloaking devices. Nothing needs to be activated. Let's see here. We have no boarding party, no damage control. Now we go to the next turn. Pivot and roll on the Avid, mark midpoints. So this is going to get interesting. If we keep skidding in this direction, we're going to run into a situation where we're going to basically be at point blank range and we're going to annihilate each other, specifically this one. I don't think that we can burn aggressively enough to try to get out of its way. I think we only have a thrust of 5. That's going to expose our entire right side if we take a shot like that. So let's take a look here. Let's see if we can figure out what exactly this is going to look like. So if we take a left turn and thrust extremely hard, that's basically going to shift this to here, which is still going to give him a free shot off the nose. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, he'll have that free nose shot. So putting us off the side, I don't think is going to improve our chances, and it means we're going to have less weapons to bear. Let's see, if you put us off the side, what does that do for us? We cannot fire out of that arc if we go that far to the side. We can still use this arc, which these must be bottom-mounted weapons. This is a bad situation to be in. Really, really bad. But I'm kind of hoping the missiles will kind of get things rolling for us. So I'm not going to order any pivots whatsoever. So we're going to ignore that. We're not going to do any thrust. I certainly don't want to close if I don't have to. Getting ideas. Anyway, so meanwhile, the Zhodani, I've got the Imperials right where I want them, right on my nose. But unfortunately, that is a close range shot. So we're going to have to hope that our sand basically holds up, which we're starting to chew through pretty quickly. Okay, so we're not going to do anything. So now we go ahead and scoot down here. Adjust end of turn marker. There's none. Move to end of turn marker. Complete pivots and rolls. So now we go ahead and scoot over here. The Zhodani ship would scoot over here like this. Oh, that's messy. That's going to be bad. Record new Avid orientation. So we have nothing's changed there. Bleed speed, consolidate new vectors, none of that. Place end of turn marker for current vectors. It's going to be 4 in that direction. 1, 2, 3, 4 in that direction. 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh boy. That gives me an idea. But I don't think that's not a good place to be. So we'll have to see what happens there. Anyway, moving on. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2. Yeah, that's where that would go. That's interesting. Okay, so now we're going to move to down here. Fighters move, torpedoes move. We don't have any torpedoes right now going out. Allocate APs for defenses and weapons fire. Okay, so I'm going to get spammed. So I'm going to do exactly what I did last turn. I'm going to spend 1, 2, 3 boxes of this, which, of course, that repairs everything. The boxes, by the way, go away each phase because the sand basically got dissipated, if you want to think about it another way. So I have all this defenses. I'm going to spend an AP to go ahead and get myself an extra one. I'm going to spend an AP to activate my ECM as well. I'm going to pretty much stick to the same plan that I used last time. We'll see what that kind of does for us in a minute. So meanwhile, in the Zhodani, he's smart enough to know he's going to take it in the front really, really, really hard. So he's going to go ahead and use 2 boxes of bubbles. and that's going to basically use up quite a bit of his ammunition. He's about halfway through. This is a very similar experience to what you get with modern vessels with interceptor missiles, by the way, in case you're curious. So now we just move on. So we allocate APs for defenses and weapon fire. We did that. ECCM, we don't do any of that. Plotting fire. No, this is tricky. Do we have anything that has the interceptor quality right now? I think we do. Yeah, interceptor range 3. What's the range in those missiles? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh no. So unfortunately, we're going to have to wait until the missiles basically land on us in order to use our weapons to engage them. So if you take a look at the standard plot here, standard fire goes first, and then the missiles and torpedoes impact. So essentially what's going to happen is these missiles are going to hit, these missiles are going to hit, and we need to decide if we're going to try to intercept them. I'm personally not a fan of getting hit with nuclear missiles, especially 4 of them. But at the same token is, this is not a good place to be. This is not a good place to be at all. It is 5 interceptor points, and I don't think the missiles have any armor. They have an evasion of 8 or greater. Okay, I know what I'm going to do. So I'm going to intentionally use only 2 of my turret lasers here. And also, of course, I'm going to fire more missiles. When the missiles do arrive on the flip side, I'm going to make sure that I employ everything that I can in that direction. So keep in mind, the missiles are actually going to be arriving here off my left side. If we actually take a look, is it exactly? Yeah, it's going to be exactly through my left side. They're going to be coming through this arc here, which is 3 off to my nose. That means they're basically going to be arriving right here. So we can use any of our turret lasers for that. Whew. That was safe. It's going to be a little more complicated. So I'm going to hang on to 4 of my turret lasers to engage the incoming missiles, and I'm going to use 2 of my turret lasers to fire, and I'm going to go ahead and fire 2 more standard missiles. So let's go ahead and resolve my initial attack first. So let's plot where he is. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So he's now 6 off my nose. We'll deal with the missiles in just a second. So that also means, in this case, again, keeping things nice and simple for a little demo match here. It's going to be 6 off my nose as well. So that's pretty straightforward. Let's see here. We'll deal with all that stuff later. So we're going to do 2 turret laser attacks, and then we're going to use the other 4 to try to shoot down the incoming missiles. So let's go ahead and scoop up all our dice here. So our first attack, it is going to be at a range of 6 this time with the turret laser. Range of 6 with the turret laser. Ooh, 3 up, goes to 4 up. So we need a 4 better. We got a 7. What do we do for damage at that range? We have a penetration 3-1 damage. So we're going to do 2 penetration. It's going to be 1, 2, 3 damage into location 0. So as usual, that's just going to go dink dink. By the way, he of course allocated those. So those 2 bubbles are gone. We knocked that one off right there. We have my second attack. Of course, if I didn't declare it, it doesn't count, right? 5, I believe that's okay. Yes, no problem, because it's a 4 up to hit him in the nose. So that's going to be, is it 3 damage at the distance? I always have to take a look. Yes, so it's going to be a total of 4 damage to location 0. So we're basically going to shoot off a bunch more of his sand. 1, 2, 3, 4. So we shoot off a bunch of the sand, which hopefully will make it easier for the missile to hit. But like I said, the missile might actually be hitting him in the cheek and not in the nose, which is something he might need to think about. And that's it. I also have my other missile. I'll go ahead and send another couple more missiles on the way. So we're going to launch all missiles. So that puts us down to 4 missiles. And we have even more missiles on the way. Control Z. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3. So that means 2 more missiles are going to be right there. We're definitely making it interesting for him. Let's go ahead and resolve his fire next. Now, he's confident that his nuclear dampers are going to prevent the missiles from hitting him properly. So he's going to commit everything to engage us. So that gets us 1, 2, 3, 4, plus another 4 missiles that we can employ in that particular arc. So let's see here. We're going to start with this one. We're at a range of, I believe it was a range of 6. Range of 6 off the nose with the Bay Energy weapon is a 2 up, which becomes a 3 up, which becomes a 4 up. Damage 5. Oh, this is gonna be messy. Let's see what happens. It missed. That was lucky. So unfortunately, the Energy Bay crew needs to be fired. So turret lasers, we're gonna commit all 4 of them. So turret laser at range 6 is a 4 up, 5 up, 6 up, penetration 2. So we'll keep track of this. So we get 4 of these. Nope. Let's attack 2. So that's a 1 hit. That's location 7. It's going to be doing 1, 2, 3 damage. Location 7. It's going to be hitting at the nose. 1, 2, 3. That's it. We got 2 more attacks. That's a 10. That's a clean hit. So that's 2, 3 damage to location 8. That's it. And then we get, of course, our 4th attack. 4th attack is definitely going to hit. That's a 5. That's 3 damage to location 9. So we do a bunch of damage to sand, but we don't really do any real damage to the ship itself. It happens. So that's it for them. Of course, he's going to be a jerk and fire 4 more missiles, which is just, I find that kind of rude. It's going to leave him with 2. And that also means that we have this interesting situation again, like this, where we have 4 more missiles attacking our poor Sloane. Okay, let's go ahead and figure out what's going on with the missiles. So his missiles are going to arrive this turn. They're going to be arriving from that hex at us. So if you want to imagine it another way, where is it hitting us? Is it hitting it from the nose? No. Is it hitting it cleanly through here? If you want to kind of imagine, if I were to draw these 2 lines here, where is it hitting closer to? Is it hitting this part? Is it hitting the edge? I would say it's hitting the edge, which means the guy attacking gets to select where it hits. So if you want to think about it kind of another way, this point here would be through here. This point here would be through here, which means the attack is arriving right here, kind of through this direction. If we look at our actual arc here, it would be basically arriving along here. Whenever this situation happens, it means the attacker gets to pick. Obviously, the attacker is going to be picking the left side because there's no sand there. Uh-oh. Let's see if this hurts. Now, if you recall, we reserved 4 of our turret lasers to engage this weapon. And if you remember, it's going to be coming slightly off the nose, so we can now get 4 attacks against the incoming missiles. Now, the way this is resolved is going to be at distance 0. So we have a couple different ways we can do this. We can use the interceptor quality of the weapon, in which case we get 5 interceptor points free, which honestly, that's the safe option. Or we could actually attack them individually. So I'm going to opt for the 5 interceptor points for free. So we're going to do 1, 2, 3, 4 attacks against the 4 missiles. Each one gets 5 damage. So the actual missiles themselves, if you take a look, have an evasion of 6 or greater, which is very high. Okay, let's find out what happens. So the missiles arrive. So they're going to get a survival roll against a 5. Of course, for us, we'll deal with that in a second. So the first survival roll is a 1, which means one of those missiles is going to be flat out destroyed. So that fortunately reduces it to 3 missiles. Nice. So, that was not much of a roll. So that's 1. So 1 against my 5 again is his second missile destroyed. Haha, we might just survive this. That was a terrible roll, I know. Our third missile rolls a 6. So this is an automatic success on the missile. How do you know? It has an evasion of 6. So that means 1 missile will get through to do an attack. So let's go ahead and try the last one. That missile is a 5 even, which means I destroy it. So 1 missile got through. So now the missile is going to do its attack. It's a range. The total range in this particular missile doesn't matter. It's between 0 and 13. It's a 1 or better. But if you remember, we have ECM of 1, so it becomes a 2 or better. And we have a profile of 1, so it becomes a 3 or better on the actual attack. Cross your fingers. That's a hit. Okay, unfortunately, the penetration roll is 0, so it's a location hit on 2. However, we have a special thing over here that can actually use as a nuclear damper and disable nuclear weapons. So if we roll a 5 or higher, the weapon takes no effect. Done. Super. So basically, in this particular case, narratively, the missile, woo, we shot down 3 of them, we go thunk, and that's it. Cool. That was it. Cool. So we survived to live another day. The missile probably definitely made some people need to change into their brown pants. Meanwhile, the Zhodani, if you remember, chose not to allocate any weapons to intercept those missiles, which means the missiles are going to scoot right on in. Go ahead and put the missiles right there. So now where are we hitting this time? So that would be that arc, that would be that arc, that would be that arc. So in this case, you can see that again, it's arriving at the edge, but it's biased to the right side, which for us, conveniently, actually, that's going to be hitting in the nose. What am I saying? Taking a look at it this way, if you want to imagine this is kind of our nose arc is going to be basically like this. It's going to be arriving right off the nose. Actually, I'm going to confirm that real quickly. I don't want to be wrong. 1, 2, 3, up 1. So that's going to be off the nose. It's going to be 1, 2, 3, up 1. So that's going to be over to the right. That's actually going to be arriving in the nose arc. Bummer. So it is going to be hitting him off the front. Okay, 1, 2, 3. It's 3 away. That's going to be arriving at the edge. So it's actually going to be hitting through here, which means that the particular weapon is going to be arriving through here, which means I get to pick the right side. Haha! So my missiles are going to attack him on the right side. Yes! We got a free hit, right? I like the Imperial, sorry. Traveler, by the way, makes an amazing RPG. So in this particular case, my weapon's accuracy is a 1 up, which goes to a 2 up. So unless something terrible happens, let's go ahead and see what happens. So we get 1 hit. That's going to be 3 penetration. What's the damage on a nuclear missile? Let's see, nuclear missile penetration 9. So it's going to be 6 damage to his right side, except does he also have a nuclear damper? Yes, he does. So if he rolls a 6 or better, my missile goes clunk. It does no damage. Oh, no! All right, 6 damage to the right side. 6 damage to location 0. So that's actually the nose is what we're hitting. So here we go. So the damage comes rushing in. It skips all the sand that is in there. It loses 1 damage to 5. So 1, 2, haha, 3, 4. Interesting. I still have 4 damage to go, and it's going to wrap around. This may actually blow him up. So we're going to take a dice. We have 4 damage left. I'm going to go ahead and roll the weight. Wait. No, it's not splash damage. Oh, is it? Oh, hold on. Undo. Control Z. It's raking fire. So raking fire, I should have caught that. So raking fire is a little bit more complicated. Undo. Control Z. I knew I needed to look. I always get my missiles confused. Okay, so it was a total of 6 damage. One of them got eaten by the armor, so that's going to be 1 damage. It's going to be location 1. However, it's raking fire, which means that you have to actually break the hit locations into multiple chunks. So we have a total of 6 damage right now. So you have to break that into the chunks that the raking fire says, and they each get their own attack. In this case, it's 3. So it would technically be 2 groups of 3, except one of those got away. So we have 1 group of 3 damage, 1 group of 2 damage. Our original location we rolled on was a 0, which is actually the 10. So we're going to do 3 damage to location 10. 1, 2, 3. And then we have to re-roll the hit location, which is an 8. And we do 2 damage there. 1, 2. So we've damaged those kind of items. With our nuclear weapon, you just got hit with a nuke and you're okay. So again, that's kind of interesting how that plays out right there. Let's go ahead and recollect all our dice right here and put everything in a neat little pile. Again, it's an interesting game, but you have to watch out for every one of those teeny tiny little catches that a lot of times I forget, as in case you haven't noticed. So anyway, that is the end of that turn. Now we can do damage control. I took no damage, so I don't need to do any damage control. Meanwhile, he has taken damage, but none of his damage control parties were actually in parts of the ship that they can fix things. So we're going to have to deal with that next turn. All right, next turn. So first thing we like to do is we like to plot our pivot and roll. So that was messy. Actually, this missile's gone. So we have a ton of missiles that are going to be arriving through the nose arc in just a minute. Because if you think about it, we're going to be here. However, the missiles are going to hit us on the side. So that is going to be very problematic, just like it was in the last turn, as you saw a minute ago. Granted, he got hit with a nuclear missile, and it didn't really do that much damage. The Zhodani's gotten dented a little bit, but until you chew up all those sandcaster shots, it takes a long time to really do damage, and hopefully you guys are seeing that as I'm explaining it. So anyway, we'll go ahead and start from the beginning. Do I want to pivot? Do I want to thrust? Yes. Yes, I do. Okay. All right, I got an idea. All right, so I'm going to pivot 1, 2, 3 windows. And I'm also going to apply thrust. I'm going to apply a total of 5 thrusts. So 1, 2, 3, halfway point, rounded down, is going to be right here. What am I doing? You'll see. Meanwhile, the Zhodani is sitting there going, well, I don't want to miss a chance to get... I got hurt pretty bad on the side there. I kind of don't want to make that mistake again. But at the same token is, I have a feeling that I'm going to have to turn myself around very aggressively soon. So he's not going to apply any thrust, but he is going to rotate his nose all the way over to here like that. So meanwhile, we're going to move our damage control parties. I've got some hull damage down here. I need to replace that, and I'm going to go ahead and move both damage control parties to location 10. Okay, I don't need to move my damage control parties because those guys are feeling pretty comfortable right now, so I'm not going to worry too much about that. Go ahead and clean all this up, clean all this up. Whoops. Clean all this up, and we're good to go. So let's see here. Plot, pivot, and roll is done. No pivot at half the thrust to this turn speed doesn't apply to us. Plot, vertical, and horizontal move. So I am thrusting through direction A and F, and my halfway point is going to be right here, which means since it's going to be a thrust of 5, I need to pick how much is going into F and how much is going into A. So in this particular case, we can go ahead and take a look at the horizontal plotting aid real quickly. And we can just sort of decide how much of what thrust we want to apply to where. So in this particular case, I want to apply most of it into A and a little bit into F. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 1 into F. So I'm going to do 1 into F, the rest into A. So 4 are going to go into A, and 1 is going to go into F. This will make sense in a second, hopefully. Okay, so now we record any vector changes. We've gone ahead and done all recordings up there. Adjust end of turn marker for displacement thrust. Since we're pivoting and thrusting, there's no displacement of the end of turn marker. Kind of keep that in the back of your mind. So now we go ahead and move to the end of turn marker. Go ahead and shift ourselves here. This ship, of course, was pivoting also, and he chose to pivot this way. So we end up with a situation that looks like this. Interesting. Very, very interesting little situation we've just put ourselves into right there. So we're going to go ahead and update the avid here. Go ahead and clean that up. So now our nose is going to be facing this direction. Go up to the Zhodani ship as well. Whoa. Helps when you make more marks, right? Which is a little easier to do. Boop, boop. He's like that now. So now we're going to go ahead and bleed speed. We're going to consolidate our vectors. Okay, so let's take a look at our situation here. We have 4 speed this way, we have 1 speed this way, and we have 4 speed that way. So this is really easy consolidation. We're simply going to take this, add it to this one, and subtract it from both of these. So that means this is going to go away. This is going to go down to 3. And this is going to stay at 5. So you can see now we've actually added a considerable amount of speed in this direction. And you'll see how that affects things in just a minute. So now we're going to go ahead and take a look at place end of turn marker for current vectors and speed. It's now 5 and 3 for us. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3. Interesting. So for the Zhodani ship, those guys are still moving at speed 4 in this direction. So 1, 2, 3, 4. You can kind of see what I'm doing there. Okay, so that is it for any movement or anything along those lines. Now it's time to allocate action points for defenses and weapons fire. So this is going to be nasty. So we're having 2 problems. First of all, there's 4 very angry missiles going to hit us in the nose. He's got 2 angry missiles going to hit him in the nose, and we're basically doing a flyby here, but he can't use his big gun this time. So this is going to be an optimum time for him to go defensive, and it's going to be an optimum time for us to basically spam it. So we're going to go ahead and start by spending our APs for all our stuff. We're going to leave our electronic countermeasures on. That's been really helpful. We're going to need to protect our nose bad, because I have a feeling some of those nuclear weapons are going to get through. So I'm going to do 3 of those to go ahead and reinforce the nose considerably. That's going to get us all of those. I'll spend an action point to get myself with 2 extra points there. And our other action point went into our ECM. So let's see here. We also are going to definitely want to put some starboard sandcaster going up as well, because we're going to get hit so hard. So 6, how many do I have total on the starboard side? We're going to do 2 boxes worth. 1, 2. So that's going to go ahead and protect this entire side. Meanwhile, on the Zhodani ship, we can't fire our energy bag because we're not pointing in the correct direction. But we know we're about to take a nuclear missile off the nose here. But this particular turn, he's going to stay a little bit more on the defensive side because of the situation he's in. So he's got 2 missiles coming through the nose. He's going to try to commit all 4 of his weapons to it. He doesn't feel the need to reinforce the nose anymore. And he's going to use... Oh, that's messy. Ooh, if we take a nuclear missile on the nose, that's going to do... not worth it. So he's going to go ahead and spend 2 points of node sandcaster ammunition to go ahead and reinforce the nose. And he's also going to commit 1 of his weapons to firing at the incoming missiles as well. Meanwhile, on his right side, he's about to get hammered. Is that his left side or his right side? That is his left side. My bad. I have to pay attention to where I'm actually looking here. So his left side's about to get hammered. So he's going to go ahead and use his left side to go ahead and reinforce that with a little bit of sandcaster as well. So he's going to do 2 because he knows he's about to get hit point blank range in that distance. And the rest of his weapons, with the exception of the one facing forward, there's nothing wrong with using the energy bay against. Hey, let's do that. We're going to use the energy bay against the incoming missiles, and you commit all those to basically doing a broadside, which unfortunately, as you can see, it's only 2 of them. So these 2 are going to go against missiles. These 2 are going to attack the Sloan, and this is going to attack the missiles. Cool. Meanwhile, over on this side, let's see here. We're going to be committing, he's right on our right side. So these 2 weapons are going to be used against the missiles. This group of turrets are all going to fire at him as he goes by. And as usual, we're going to hit him with a couple more missiles on the way by as well. So let's go ahead and resolve our fire. So total distance here is super duper easy. Is my nose that way or is my nose that way? Nope, my nose is that way. So that's good. So we're actually, yeah, I was right. So he has a distance of 1. That's easy. So we're going to be going ahead and starting by attacking with 1, 2, 3, 4 of these laser batteries on the side at a range of 1. Let's see what that does for us. That's accuracy 2, 3 because of the profile, penetration 3. That'd be pretty cool if that worked. All right, let's keep track of how many attacks. We get 4 attacks this time. We need to hit on a 2 or better, or 3 or better. So that's 1 hit. That's going to be 1 plus it's going to be 2. That's 3 damage to location 3. So 3 damage to location 3. It's going to be coming right along the side. Oh, he forgot to spend his action points. So that's going to be 3 points right there. We'll go ahead and attack with the second attack here. That's a miss. That's a hit. So that's 6 damage, I believe. No, that's 5 damage. 5 damage to location 2. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We might just get a hit in if this works. So now we're going to go ahead and do our final attack. And that's a 10. That's a 2 plus 2. That's 4 damage to location 1, I think. Yeah, 4 damage to location 1. I think this is just going to strip him of his sandcaster. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yep, it basically destroyed all the sand on that side. But I've got nothing else to attack. So that's kind of a bummer, I'm not going to lie. So he, of course, is going to return fire. We're saving those other 2 weapons to intercept the incoming missiles, which we can actually resolve that real quickly. So basically, the missiles now are going to be attacking. There's all 4 missiles. They're going to be attacking through our nose like this. So now we need to go ahead and intercept them. So if you remember, we reserved these 2 weapons to go ahead and do it. So total interceptor is a total of 10 interceptor points against 4 missiles. So unfortunately, we can only allocate 5 at a time, so 2 5s. And I believe the evasion on that missile is... Evasion is 6. Ooh, this is not good. So let's see what happens. So 5 against a 7... So that's going to get through. So 1 missile gets through. So my second attack, that's a 1. That missile is not getting through. So a total of 3 missiles are going to be attacking our nose. Oh, this could be bad. This could be bad. We'll see what happens. So the missile range is firing 13. So it's a 1 up, 2 up, 3 up total. So that's a 10. That definitely hits. Does 8 penetration and it hits location 1, but I have a special nuclear damper, so if I roll a 5 or higher, nothing bad happens. Success! Look at that. So 1 nuclear missile goes thunk right on the nose, doesn't even damage the sandcaster ammunition or anything like that. Second weapon, That's a 2. It needs a 3 or better. It just goes wild. In our final missile attack, let's see here. We have 1 penetration. It's a 2. It is also a failed attack. So 1 nuclear missile hits us right in the clean, and then we shot down 1. 2 of them hit us, but get disabled. 2 of them go wide. 1 of them gets disabled. Nice try. Haha, take that. So like I said, this game, things can happen. So anyway, let's go ahead and see what happens on this side. So if you recall, he's reserving his meson weapon. Actually, we'll go ahead and engage the missiles first. So he needs to make a regular attack, limit 3, at a range of what's the distance of the missile? 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 off the nose. He's going to attack it with his energy bay, which seems to be a little excessive. But we'll see exactly what happens here. So we'll go ahead and grab these 2. So this is the missile survival roll. So it's going to be 3. So it's going to be 7 on the survival roll, which is way in excess of anything we could possibly do, assuming we could hit. We need to hit on a, let's see here, this is going to be a 2, 3, 4, 5, or about, yeah, it doesn't even come close. So the energy bay just completely misses all the missiles. So now, of course, if you recall, we intentionally reserved 2 of our turret lasers off the nose to go ahead and try to engage the missiles. We're going to do a standard firing of these, so we basically get 5 interceptor points from each of the different turret weapons. So now we just need a survival roll. Let's see what the evasion on those nuclear missiles is. Nuclear missiles survival roll is an 8 or higher. That's not great. So we need to either need to get an 8, 9, 10, or we need to, and pretty much anything over a 6 in the missile survives. Nope. So 1 missile gets shot down. The second shot. And let's see, that is a 2 for the missile, which is way less than the attack of a 5. So unfortunately, our 2 missiles get destroyed. Defeated. So between all that fire, we just could not get through those defenses and actually do enough damage to actually engage it. So unfortunately, they live to fight another day again. So it's just, like I said, until you've run out of sand or until you've done something to the weapon systems, nothing bad happens. So if you recall, I also requested to fire missiles this turn. So we're going to go ahead and commit, as usual, our 4 missiles. Boop. So we're going to go ahead and fire our usual 2 missiles. And of course, the Zhodani will be returning by firing their 4 missiles, basically at point-blank range at us, which isn't going to hit us now. It's actually going to hit us when we get over there. So again, we have to kind of keep that in mind. We'll go ahead and reduce our ammunition. Now we've only got 3. Haha, close enough. Meanwhile, the Zhodani, with their incredible amount of missiles, they're actually down to a single missile volley left. Not that the missiles have done anything to anybody so far. And that's kind of one of the problems with ships that are very well balanced, is you tend to not get a decisive result until much, much later in the actual engagement. So let's go ahead and scoot down to the bottom here. Damage control. Okay. So if you remember, we did him with a nuclear missile earlier, and he has moved his crew around like this. So they're going to do a damage control attempt on that hull. So we need a 6 or better. We rolled a 9, which means that hull box has actually been repaired. We patched the hole. We're going to leave a little dot in the corner. So he's now going to go ahead and use his other damage control to try to fix that movement. We get an 8, which means we also succeeded at correcting that. But of course, we're just going to mark it with that little dot to say it's still dented up pretty bad. It's just jury-rigged. So at this point, we haven't done any real damage to the 2 vessels. And this kind of thing can happen in, like I said, games where they're this well balanced. So the first thing I'm going to do for next turn is I'm actually going to grab everybody and bring them back to a point where we can actually do something, and then we'll move on to the next turn. Okay, so what have we done so far? Basically nothing. Either the defenses have absorbed it or the missiles have been shot down and things along those lines. So we're going to have to come up with a way to sort of evaluate this. The good news is on the Sloan, we're basically out of Sandcaster ammunition on the right, and we have plenty on the Noah, I should say, right. Meanwhile, on the this ship here, you can see that it's gone through a considerable amount of its left Sandcaster ammunition. So the smart thing to do here would be to try to pivot yourself so you can now take another nose shot. The Imperial craft on the flip side, I think, we're going to arrive here. If I don't think I can get out of the nose arc if I wanted to. I'm just working this out in my head. If I pivot and thrust basically everything into E, I don't know that I can pull myself out of that arc quick enough. But I'm certainly going to try. So I'm going to order up a rotation this way, and I'm also going to order a total of 5 thrust in this way, this direction. Meanwhile, the Zhodani craft is feeling pretty confident. It's going to rotate its nose back to go ahead and face us, so it can go ahead and take that shot. It's not going to apply any thrust or anything like that. It just doesn't need to. So let's go ahead to our next phase here. Do we need to move damage control parties around? No, there's none of that. We don't need to reload anything. We're good to go. So let's see here. Vector changes. Okay. So let's see. There's no displacement because we were thrusting and pivoting simultaneously. Record move to end of turn marker, complete pivots and rolls. Okay, let's do it. So this ship here is going to pivot like this, and it's going to move to its end of turn marker right here. One thing I did forget is we should be leaving this. Isn't that strange that that would be halfway? Meanwhile, the Zhodani ship has done the same thing. He's gone ahead and rotated his nose back towards us. And the missiles that he fired at us are right over here right now. So now what we do is we need to consolidate all our vectors. So we've done 5 burn into this direction, which is actually nice and simple to calculate. Go ahead and get rid of that. So our new nose is going to be right here. And now we need to consolidate. That's going to cancel out all those in that direction. And that's going to leave us with 2 in this direction. But now we've got this issue. So now we need to subtract 2, add 2, subtract 2 from that side. So that's going to leave this at 3. That's going to leave this at 2. And that's going to cancel this one out that we just burned right there. So you can see now that we've got this kind of a situation where we're quite a bit confused. So now we go ahead and do the new end of turn marker. For this one, it is now going to be 3 up, 2, 3, and it's going to be 2 in this direction. Ah, you see my maneuver. Oh, my bad. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. It's now going to be over here. Interesting how that played out. And of course, the Zhodani ship is still just cruising at 4 in E. So we're going to grab that. 1, 2, 3, 4, and he's going to be over there. You can see what I've done is I basically pulled into him and trying to get around him to at least force it to have to pivot so I can desperately try to get some kind of aggressive shot into it. Because we're all running out of missiles and ammunition right now, so I might need to be a little more conservative, especially with the Zhodani ship right down here. Oh, by the way, you probably just caught that, didn't you? 1, 2, 3. I'm sorry, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. And this one, like I said, it's 1, 2, 3, 4. So we end up with a situation like that next turn. We're actually separating back away from each other, which is kind of tricky. Okay, so now we're going to go ahead and scoot over to our allocating APs. Okay, this is getting a little sketchy now because we're down to only 3 blasts of ammunition left, but we know that he's going to hit us with the big gun. He can't not take that shot. So, of course, we know we've got incoming missiles again. I kind of have a bad feeling about those incoming missiles this time. So I'm going to reserve 2 items in my right arc for the missiles, and I'm going to use all the rest of it in the other one. Let's go ahead and calculate where he is. He's 1, 2, 3. I'm sorry. 1, 2, 3. Oh, stop it. 1, 2, 3, 4 ahead of us. Whoop, I forgot to actually update this. Why am I facing the wrong direction here? I'm actually facing that way. Let me go ahead. Oh, no, 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 no. No, I was right. I'm facing that way. There we go. The Zhodani ship did this. Okay, okay, okay. We're good, we're good, we're good. Let's go ahead and clean that up. And we're good to go. So now we have a situation that looks kind of like this. I'm surprised the Zhodani ship didn't pull himself around to take that bay shot. Probably missed a step in there somewhere, but again, I'm playing a solo game here. Okay, so in this particular case, we have something that looks kind of like this. And now we actually do care where he is. So he is located off my nose. It's going to be straight down. It's going to be right here. Distance of 4, which means in this direction, it's going to be a distance of 4, which is 1, 2, 3. It's right off our right side for tracking arcs. So what does that do for us? That only means these 2 turret lasers are in arc plus the missiles. Coming down on this side, you can see that, oh geez, let's see what we got here. This is a little bit trickier. So he's exactly off our right side. No, I'm reversed because I forgot that everything's backwards. So that's 4. That's 2 off our nose, 1 off. 1, 2, 3. So that's going to actually be that side. So it's 1 up from that side. So that's our left side. It's going to be 1 up towards the nose. So it's going to be right there. So we can take a shot here. We can take a shot here. Oh, everything's in range. All right, I'm going to do something dangerous. I'm going to commit every weapon I have to try to do something to destroy this Zhodani craft. It is just embarrassing me here. but we'll deal with that in a second. So I'm going to go ahead and let's see here. I know I'm going to get hit on the left. I know I'm going to get hit on the nose bad. So I'm going to spend my last 3 boxes of Sandcaster ammunition and reinforce the nose. I'm going to spend 2 boxes of Sandcaster ammunition to block my left side also. So that's going to be the side here. Remember, we're using left Sandcaster ammunition this time because we passed. Meanwhile, he's going to go ahead and commit pretty much everything he's got left. He's going to knows he's about to take a shot in the nose, but he also knows he can use the mess, and he's not even going to bother with nose protection. Is that going to matter? No, it's not going to matter. But it will commit. Let's see here. This is going to be hitting on his right side, so some more right ammunition. Right there, just like that. So we're going to alpha strike him with everything that we can possibly fire, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 individual attacks. And the range is going to be 1, 2, 3, 4. 6 attacks with turret lasers at a range 4. So that's going to be a 3-up. It's going to be a 4-up. Limit 3. Going for it. All right, here we go. Here we go. Here we go. Don't forget our missiles can still have a chance to actually damage him. All right, so we need a 4-up. That's an even 4. That's going to be a limit of 3, 4 damage to location 6. Let's see, 4 damage to location 6. 1, 2, 3, 4. Second attack. We need a 4 or better. That's a 9. That's 1, 2 damage. 2 damage or 3 damage? 2 damage to location 7. This is going to knock off 2 more points. Gotta get an attack in. This is going to be attack number 3. We need a 3 or better. 3. 3 or better, or is it a 4 or better? 4 or better because of the profile. Miss. 4th attack. Clean. So that's going to do 3, 4 damage to location 4. He's got 2 more Sandcaster parts. He should have reinforced that. That was silly. Come on. Something hits. Something hit. No. Final attack. Nice. So that's 1, 2 damage to location 6. That's going to get chewed up by armor. So 1, 2, and all we've done is opened up that right side. So again, these defenses are just too good against this kind of weaponry, even at point-blank range. So now we're going to go ahead and see what happens with our missiles. Remember, we had 2 missiles. He's chosen to commit his big nose cannon to basically engage those missiles. We'll go ahead and grab the... we only need... go ahead and roll like this. So we're going to be attacking the missiles defensively. So we're going to go ahead and have to roll, let's see here, it's going to be a point blank range is where we're going to be attacking. So it's a 2-up. So it's going to be a 5-up to hit. That's a 10, so we definitely hit the missiles, which means we do a maximum of 3 damage to the missiles. So my missiles are an 8-up. So if I roll an 8 or an 4, basically anything higher than a 4, I succeed. Clean. So the Bay energy weapon did not hit the missiles before they arrived. So if you recall also, since our angle is a little precarious right here, we're taking a shot off of our, let's see here, we're taking a shot off our left wing, I think it is. Just want to study, it's going to be off our right side. Clean on our right side, which means we can't commit these 2. These 2 turrets will also engage. We'll do 5 each. We're just going to use interceptor quality. So I need to roll a 6 or higher for 1 missile to survive. That's a 4. 1 missile gets destroyed. That's a 5, so that is going to also get destroyed. So my missiles, gone. So another group of these beautiful, beautiful missiles destroyed. Meanwhile, he's going to go ahead and do his attacks. He can only hit me with 2 of the lasers. So we'll go ahead and commit both. So we're at a range of this. So it's going to be 3, 4, 5, 6 up to actually do any damage. I have a feeling it's just going to get eaten by the Sandcaster. So that's definitely a hit. That's 3 at our particular range. That's a 3, 4. It's going to be 4 damage to that side. So it's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4. There's simply no way, even with more damage, that he's actually going to be able to destroy those shields completely. So let's see here. That is still a hit. That's a 5. That's just 4 more damage to the shields. Nothing. 1, 2, 3, 4. So that does absolutely nothing to that particular craft. It's just going to keep on going. I hate to say it. So in this case, we still need to evaluate what happens with the Zhodani missiles on the flip side. So if you recall, we did not fire at all, and we have nothing to fire at those particular missiles. So they're going to arrive normally and get to make a total of 4 attacks against us. So we'll have to see what this does. I have a feeling we're about to lose a ship. So we're going to go ahead and begin. The missiles fired from their full range. So they're going to get a 1 plus 2. So that's going to be 1 for ECM plus 2 for profile, or it's plus 1 for profile. So it's a 3 up, damage 3, penetration 9. 3 up. All right, let's see what happens. This is for the first missile hit. Oh, man. Oh, boy. So that's a hit. Location 0. 8, 9. It's going to be 8 penetration plus 3 damage, but it's nuclear, so we have a freak chance that we can actually disable it. Our nuclear damper here is a 5 up, so if I roll a 5 or higher, no effect. Wow. Okay, so the first nuclear missile cleanly hit. It probably would have snapped our ship in 2. The nuclear damper disabled the explosion. Second hit, that's a miss. Third missile, that's a miss. And finally, the fourth missile. That is a hit. So that is 3 plus the damage of the missile. The missile's damage itself is 3. That's 6 damage to location 9. And we still have our nuclear damper. So if I roll a 5 or higher, done. Missiles have no effect. So that was an incredible gamble, and it ended up paying off perfectly for our cutter here. Actually, I'm sorry, our PF Sloan here. So that worked extremely well. So far, nothing has really done any real damage. So, of course, we still have some missiles we can engage with ourselves, which, of course, we're going to fire them. So that's going to knock us down. We have 2 missiles left. So far, the missiles have done absolutely nothing. 1, 2, 3, 4. Halfway is 2. 2x missiles. So he's also going to fire 4 missiles. I think this is it. He's out of ammunition. Yep. So he gets 4 more missiles, nuclear missiles, but he's completely out of ammunition at this particular point. Now, this is what I call a well-balanced fight. I don't know why I just grabbed that. Go back where you belong. So let's go ahead and grab this one. So this is 4x missiles, and he is completely out of missiles. But notice we're also out of things like sandcaster ammunition, which means that this fight has just gotten a little bit more serious, especially if we can spin ourselves around. But these kind of fights, like I said, they can go on for a little while depending on kind of the situation. So anyway, we're going to get to our last phase here. This is crew actions. We're going to go ahead and do damage control, stuff like that. So let's see what we have left for damage control. So we still have a damaged FTL drive, so we need to roll a 6 or higher to fix that. That's not too hard usually. 2, failed. That means the FTL drive, FTL fuel, I should say, not the FTL drive, has been destroyed, which in the travel reverse means this ship only has jump 2. So that's actually interesting. It's not quite a mission kill, but that definitely could impact things on a strategic scale, depending, of course, kind of how this battle were to end. This is very tempting to disengage now, knowing that the other guy's got significantly quicker throw. I think they're both 6, but there's no way the other guy could catch him if he wanted to disengage. Yes. So if we wanted to disengage, we could actually just step on the gas and get the heck out of here because we have more thrust in that direction, knowing that we've damaged his fuel and he's probably leaking hydrogen all through space. So anyway, that's the end of that particular turn. And like I said, we're going a little ways here, and a lot of the gambles we've taken have ended up working out. Check this out, though. We're out of nose sandcaster ammunition. In our right and left side, we've gone through about a quarter of our sandcaster ammunition, and we only have 2 missiles left on the side, which have been completely impotent this entire game so far. So it'll be very interesting to see kind of what happens during the next turn. Okay, everything's all been neatly erased, all the damage that we can erase. So now we get to our first turn. So, not our first turn, our next turn, I should say. So in this particular case, actually this would have been 4, but that's okay for what we're doing here. So we know that this ship is now going to drift this way, but even though we're thrusting in this direction. So what I want to do is I want to spin around so that I can try to bring my nose 1, 2, 3 arcs kind of along the spine, just so I can kind of keep the nose forward. And oh, that's going to be bad. Ooh, we have to, though, because I need to commit every weapon that I've got. Obviously, the nuclear weapons just aren't hurting us, and this is his last set. So if I emphasize destroying those nuclear weapons, of course, it would make it a little bit safer for me, but I've got to get it. Of course, on the flip side, the PF Sloan's sitting here going, I've still got some no Sandcaster ammunition left, so I'm not as concerned about the incoming fire. So that's going to be tricky. Okay, I know what I'm going to do. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to order this particular craft to rotate again. I'm not going to give any thrust. So I'm going to bring it 1, 2, 3. We're actually going to bring it right over to here. And we're going to keep our speed the same. Meanwhile, the Zhodani ship is smart enough to try to use its extremely deadly Meson weapon. Again, this is where it's going to be at the end of the turn. So it's going to go ahead and turn itself back towards us. No thrust involved, by the way, in this particular case. So it's going to go ahead and commit its nose this way. All right. So now we go ahead and consolidate. There's none of that, none of that. Horizontal move, none of that. Move to end of turn marker. So now we're going to shift 1, 2, 3 like this, and we're going to slide right here like that. So the Zhodani craft, of course, 1, 2, 3 as well. And he's going to slip to where his marker was a second ago. So now we go ahead and update the orientation, which we've done already, and we're going to go ahead and do things like placing the end of turn markers. So the Zhodani ship, believe it or not, has never applied thrust. 1, 2, 3, 4. So for us, it's going to be, I should say, looking at the wrong side of the table here, it's going to be 3 and 2. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. So it's going to be a situation that looks a little bit like that, which is very interesting. And that could cause some problems with employing weapons. So now we're going to go ahead and move over to our attack phase. So we're out of Nova Sandcaster ammunition. That's done. We're going to spend that point on ECM, and we can't thicken the bubble at all because there's no way that we can do it. However, we know that we're about to get sideswiped by a nuclear weapon here. That's going to be arriving right along the hex edge, which means we're going to be hit on the left side with it. So I'm not going to be stupid. I'm going to go ahead and commit all of this plus my reinforcement onto this side so that if we do get hit with that nuclear weapon, it's actually going to reduce the damage that it's going to impact. Meanwhile, up here, I still have no Sandcaster ammunition. And we know that this is a pretty hefty range to try to take a shot at. I think the range has actually exceeded 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. That's a heck of a shot. It's still in range, though. So I'm going to go ahead and commit the last remaining Sandcaster ammunition I have and 2 points of reinforcement. Meanwhile, I know I have a nuclear missile that's going to be, again, this is the ship here. I know that there's a nuclear missile that's going to be arriving and hitting me in the front. This guy right here is also going to be hitting the front, so I don't need to commit any more sand any other parts of the ship itself. But after this, I am out of sand to go ahead and employ to do any sort of protection here. My damage control party is already discussed. Well, we're going to leave those guys alone. Actually, what we should have done, and this is bad, we should have moved both damage control parties up to here. Anyway, moving on. So now we're going to go ahead and head over to the weapons phase. So let's go ahead and figure out where the target is in the sky. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 away. Let's see here. We got something that kind of looks like this. It's definitely going to be in the hex edge at 12 away. So we know that the target is 12 away. And we know that it's on the hex edge. So for us, it's actually right in our nose, which is kind of handy. Flipping over to the other side, we know that this is where it gets a little complicated. Sometimes it helps to flip what side of the table you're on. We know that for the Zhodani ship, it's going to be the same exact kind of a situation. Is it through an hex edge? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. No, it's 1 to the left. It's on the edge. So in this particular case, it's going to be right here is where we're going to be. Good. We can use our Bay weapon at this particular point. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and do a classic alpha strike. So for this particular ship, it's pointing right at the nose. So we can go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 individual cannons. Plus we have missiles. We're going to hope that our nuclear dampers work correctly. This could be a huge mistake, but you know we gotta get the game moving on at some point, so to speak. Let's go ahead and roll that. Stop it before it jumps off the table. A 2. So at that distance, it's distance 12. It's going to be a 4, 5, 6 for the profile, and it's a penetration of 2. So that's not going to hit anything. So we do our second attack. Remember, we have a total of 6. Let's check that. That's, what do we need? We need a 6, 5 up. That's not going to happen. Try it again. That dice needs to be re-rolled. Hey, you hit him. So that's going to do 2 damage, location 4. So that's going to hit it right on the nose, and it's going to do 2 damage. It's going to get absorbed by the that particular attack there. So now we're on to the 4th attack. Remember, I have 6 attacks total. 5, that's a hit. It's going to do, I think where penetration is 2 at that distance. Yes. So 3 damage to the location 4. That's just going to chew up a little bit of the sand in the nose again. Oh, 3 damage, I'm sorry. It's cheating. Come on. There we go. 3 damage to the nose. So now I'm for my 5th attack. Let's see, that's a hit. That's going to be 3 damage to the nose again. 1, 2, 3 damage. And then we get one more attack with our main batteries there. Let's see what we do here. That's a hit. That's going to do another 3 damage. So we actually did quite a bit of damage to the nose here. 1, 2, 3. But again, we're getting nothing but sand. It's not doing much for us. Hopefully our missile's a little more successful. Meanwhile, we'll go ahead and commit this guy's energy attacks. So keep in mind, we're 1 to the left of the nose. So that means it's going to be right here. We get to use our energy bay, which at range 12, we need a 5, 6 for ECM, 7 for profile. So we need a 7 or better. I don't think that's going to happen, but we'll try anyway. Nope. No effect. So it just goes really, really, really wide, unfortunately. So now we have our 4 turret lasers. They're all in arc in this particular case. Those at this range, they're 4, 5, 6 up. And it's up to 3 damage. 6 up to 3 damage. We get 3 of these. Nope. First one does nothing. Second one is a hit. That's going to do a full 3 damage to the nose. We have no sand left, so that's going to get reduced by 1. And what location was that? That's location 5. So we're going to take 2 damage to location 5. Location 5 knocks our cargo box, and it disables one of our weapons. Uh-oh. Keep in mind this takes impact at the end of this phase. So it has one more attack that it can use with his regular weapons. 1? I thought there were 2. Yeah, no, he's got 2 more attacks, sorry. So that is 5. So if you recall, let's see here, at range 12, it's a 5, which is no, our ECM ate that one. So for his final attack, he needs a 6 or better. That's a 3. Yeah, I know that didn't roll. No damage. So no dice, unfortunately. So that's it for all beam weapons. Let's go ahead and see what happens with the missiles. So in this case, we've committed nothing to trying to intercept the damage that these missiles are going to commit. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so it's going to be arriving 7. It's going to be hitting us right on the nose. That's 4 missiles to the nose. Uh-oh. Okay, so the normal range, we're attacking at maximum distance there. This is absolutely, so it's 1 plus 1 plus 2. So it's a 3 up nose attack, or 3 up, I should say. So for the first missile, we have 4 missiles hitting the poor PF Sloan here. No, first one completely misses. Second one. Second one completely misses. Third one. That's a hit. No penetration, location 8. So now we get to roll our nuclear damper. Does not impact. Uh-oh, that's a hit. So let's take a look here. Our nuclear missile has spherical arc. It has raking fire. And what's the damage here? We do 3 damage. What was our penetration roll? Our penetration roll was 0. So we do 3 damage to location 8. And since it's raking, we'd break that into 3 groups of 3. But since it's only 3 damage, it's only going to do 3 damage to 8. So we hit 8. 1, 2, 3 damage to 8. So now we have our final nuclear missile. Final nuclear missile. Does it hit? It hits. So it's 5. I think that's 5 plus. What's the damage here? 5 plus 3. That's 8 damage to location 9 if the nuclear damper fails. Nuclear damper succeeds. Nuclear weapon has no effect. So that round did nothing. So we're going to go ahead and delete these guys. Meanwhile, these 2 missiles are going to be hitting this guy right in the nose. So maybe we still have a chance after all. Let's go ahead and reset the count real quickly. So first of all, we need to see if the weapon hits. So it's going to be a 2 or higher. That's a hit. That's a total of 3 damage. 3 damage plus 3, that's 6 damage to location 3. His nuclear damper is not as good as ours. His nuclear damper is a 7 up. No, I'm sorry. Does he have a nuclear damper? He doesn't have it. Yes, he does. He has a 6 up for the nuclear damper. So he rolled a 10. So my does nothing. So we're going to go ahead and do this one more time. Let's see here. That's a hit. His nuclear damper needs a 6 up to prevent the damage. Gets an 8. No effects. Very interesting. Very, very, very interesting. So those weapons are just, they just don't work. Hopefully you're realizing this. So I'm going to go ahead and put all this dice away here. And that's it for damage allocation. So we can go ahead and do a little bit of damage control now because it's the end of the round. So we've left all our guys in here for some reason, which makes sense. So we're going to attempt to repair the cargo box. So that's going to be a 6 or higher. That's a 3. So the cargo box is proper destroyed. Now we're also going to try to fix that roll. That's a 4, which is also a failure. So the roll is actually still disabled. Nice going, damage control. You made it worse. Okay, so moving on to our next turn. So at this point, the ships are going to get so far away, they're not actually going to be able to employ any real weapons. Speaking of which, we forgot to employ our missiles. But we have an interesting problem if we were to have fired the missiles that round. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. The missiles would never get to the target because the end of turn marker is so far away that when we fire at the end of turn marker, we'd never get there. So that's just kind of interesting how that kind of would have played out. So this round obviously is going to continue. So I'm kind of thinking things through real quickly and just sort of doing some fast math in the back of my head here, realizing that the PF Sloan, if he's smart, he would disengage. He's out of sand and he's also gotten shot up a little bit. Meanwhile, this guy probably would want to disengage only on account of the fact that he's also out of sand in the nose and in the next hit actually could do some damage. He's also leaked quite a bit of fuel, which is going to hurt his strategic mobility. So in this particular case, let's see if I can work the math real quickly. If we were to rotate like this, 1, 2, 3, that would put us sideways for that range. So that would put him here for that. Even if he burned a little bit, that would have put him here for that. If he's trying to accelerate, which would do that, which would put him 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21 away. Okay. That would mean that there's no shot we have. I don't think that the Meson Bay, or I should say the Bay Energy, yeah, I can't reach that. So at this point, I'm going to say that the two ships chose to disengage. They ran out of all protective equipment. They kind of moved on. It would have been nice to have a more decisive result, but like I said, these ships are a little too well balanced for a very decisive result. Hopefully you found that enlightening. I know this is a really, really long video. If it's something you want me to do a crack with a slightly bigger ship, maybe something a little bit more point blank, let me know. Otherwise, I think that pretty much explains how Squadron Strike is played. Enjoy.